Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 2 of Aiming for C1. In this video I'm going to take a piece of writing and I'm going to edit it to a C1 level and beyond. Let's begin. This is the original essay. The title is Should Graffiti Be Made Legal? For those of you who don't know, this is an example of graffiti. Some people also call it street art. Some people say that graffiti symbolises a declined neighbourhood, while other people say it is a reasonable, expressive piece of art. But constantly both of these opinions are being judged. There is no doubt that this is a raging argument. Let's take a look. It is a fact that some graffiti can be considered spiteful and rude vandalism. Consequently, graffiti is mostly on places it shouldn't be on, and it can make neighbourhoods look ugly and upset people who own homes. Also, the cans used to paint the graffiti are left in the streets and make the place seem not cared for. On the other hand, no one can deny that some graffiti can be considered a work of art, and it is a way for young people to express themselves. There is even a famous graffiti artist called Banksy, whose paintings sell for millions of dollars. Surely this proves this form of art has value and isn't just vandalism. To conclude my essay, clearly the art version of graffiti is clearly misunderstood, unlike unsightly vandalism which, if the artists are caught, I think they should get severely punished. I hope you have formed a clearer view on the matter. This short essay is answering the question, should graffiti be made legal? There is an introduction. The second paragraph is the arguments against graffiti. The third paragraph, the arguments for graffiti. And finally, we have a conclusion paragraph. So let's take a look at the title, Should Graffiti Be Made Legal? Well, first off, there is a verb in English. You don't need to say made legal. You can say should graffiti be legalized? Because I am British, I spell legalized with an S. An American would spell it with a Z. Some people say that graffiti symbolizes a declined neighborhood, while other people say it is a reasonable, expressive piece of art, but constantly both of these opinions are being judged. That first sentence is way too long, complicated, and I am being lost as a reader. So I am going to improve it. Firstly, we don't need to say some people. If we're writing a formal essay, we can say many. And the verb say is very basic. I'm going to say argue. So many argue that graffiti. Now I really like the verb symbolizes. There is an even more formal way of saying this, and it is symbolic of. Now here we've used a declined neighborhood. So the verb decline means that the neighborhood is not as good as it was. However, we can improve this. We don't really say a declined neighborhood. The more native way of saying this would be is symbolic of a neighborhood in decline. Also, you will notice I am using the British spelling of neighbourhood. You might want to look up the American spelling if you are learning American English. And then we have a subordinate clause, while other people say. So I am going to say whilst. I like to use whilst, it's more formal than while. And then instead of other people, I'm just going to say others. So look, we've used many and we've used others. And again, we've got the verb say. So I'm just going to say here, believe. While others believe, and then we have this sentence about it being art. So I'm going to say, while others believe, it is a form of expressive art. Now, I will be editing this final version at the end and improving it even further. So we have this bit here, but constantly both of these opinions are being judged. I don't think we need to include that. There is no doubt that this is a raging argument. Raging can mean very angry, or we can have a raging storm, but there's a better way of saying that. So I'm going to say, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And then instead of a raging argument, we could say, this is a controversial topic. And then I'm going to add a relative clause, which has produced passionate discussion. And then let's is a contraction. It's informal. So I'm going to say, let us, and instead of take a look, which is again very informal, let us examine both sides of the debate in closer detail. So next paragraph, these are the arguments against graffiti, the bad things about graffiti. So we've got here, it is a fact that some graffiti can be considered spiteful and rude vandalism. Well, firstly, usually we use spiteful to describe a person. Rude, again, would usually be used to describe a person. So I think that I can improve that. And instead of saying it is a fact that, I'm going to say it is undeniable that. It is undeniable that some examples of graffiti are considered, instead of can be considered, just more simple, straightforward, are considered. Now, I need to find a different word of spiteful and rude. So because I'm talking not about a person, I'm going to say destructive. And there's a really great word that means rude, which is vulgar. And it's nice because we have some alliteration. We have vulgar vandalism, both beginning with the letter V. Now, consequently, graffiti is on most places it shouldn't be on. Now, I want to draw your attention to this use of consequently. We use consequently when something has happened because of something else. It was raining, full stop. Consequently, I stayed inside, or as a result, I stayed inside. If you think about it, consequently does not work in this example. I'm going to use unfortunately because we're talking about something that is unwanted and unpleasant. Unfortunately, and then it says here, is mostly on places it shouldn't be on. Well, there's a repetition of on there. We don't need that. So I'm going to say, unfortunately, graffiti appears in unwanted places. It talks about it can make neighborhoods look ugly and upset people who own homes. I'm going to use a C2 verb here, blighting. When something makes something ugly, you can say it is blighting the neighborhood. So, unfortunately, graffiti appears in unwanted places, often blighting neighborhoods and leaving. And then instead of people who own homes, we have an English word, home owners, and it's all one word. Both upset and angry. And then we've got this bit here about the cans used to paint the graffiti. There's actually a proper word, and it's spray cans. In addition, spray cans, and it talks about are left. So there's a more formal way of saying that. Are often, I've just used often. So I'm going to use frequently. Are frequently discarded. So that means left behind somewhere. When you throw something away, you discard it. In the street. And then it says, can make the place seem not cared for. So I'm going to say, causing, instead of more, I'm going to say further. further untidiness. Further can be used to mean more, additional. Let's take a look at the third paragraph. Now this paragraph is everything that's good about graffiti. Now I like the way the writer has used on the other hand, because we're giving the other side of the argument, so I'm going to keep that. On the other hand, comma, and we've got no one can deny. I think that's great as well. I can never remember if no one is one word or two words and I'm a native speaker. No one can deny that some examples of graffiti may be classified as art. On the other hand, no one can deny that some examples of graffiti can be classified as art. And then it talks about a way for young people to express, now this is a grammatical mistake, express themselves, because young people is plural. So if I was going to use that, I need to change it to themselves. So, and are a wonderful way for young people to express themselves. And then we've got, there is even a famous graffiti artist called Banksy whose paintings sell for millions of dollars. So I'm going to use something now which I really like. Indeed. You'll see when I write the sentence how to use it. It's quite a difficult word to explain. Indeed. Banksy. Now it says here a famous artist. There is a more formal way of saying this, is a celebrated graffiti artist. And then it says, I mean, this is a great example, whose, for a relative clause there. So well done. Whose paintings, and then instead of sell for millions of dollars, there is a very formal way of saying this, whose paintings command millions of dollars. That's a very high level and very formal way. And then we have, surely this proves this art form has value and isn't just vandalism. So, surely this is evidence of the value of graffiti, and that it is much more, and then I love the word mere. It's related to the word only, so much more than mere vandalism. Again, I will be editing this afterwards. Now let's look at the concluding essay. Now what's caught my attention here is the author, the writer, has gone into first person to conclude my essay, and they've used I. Now often in this type of writing you are giving the argument for something, the argument against something, and then often in the concluding paragraph you give your opinion. So I understand why they have done that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it impersonal. In conclusion, the fact that I'm changing this to an impersonal paragraph is actually quite valuable for you guys, because you get to see how to do this. In conclusion, clearly the art version, we've got clearly twice. Okay. Also, this paragraph, they lose the argument. All of a sudden, they start talking about people being punished. So we need to make quite a lot of changes here. Clearly, and then not the art version, the artistic version. In conclusion, clearly the artistic version of graffiti is misunderstood. Unlike, and then we've talked about unsightly. I'm actually going to say unlike the ugly and unsightly vandalism. Let's have a relative clause, which ruins cities and towns. Instead of saying neighbourhoods, which we've said a lot, I've put in here cities and towns. And then I thought I would end this essay with an impersonal question. However, The question is, a colon, who decides which is which? I'm now going to do my final edit of this essay, and this essay is going to be in a PDF ebook along with all my other C1 and C2 essays, so check out the link in the description box below. Firstly, thinking about the title, we could make this even more advanced. We could say something like this: graffiti, and we could have a colon, and we could say attractive art or vulgar vandalism. We have alliteration in that title. Many argue that graffiti is symbolic of a neighbourhood in decline, while others believe it is a modern form of expressive art. Without a doubt, this is a controversial topic which has produced passionate discussion. Let us examine both sides of the debate in closer detail. It is undeniable that some examples of graffiti are considered destructive and vulgar vandalism. Unfortunately, graffiti appears in unwanted places. Often, I'm going to actually change unwanted to unwelcome, often blighting neighbourhoods and leaving homeowners both upset and angry. In addition, spray cans are often discarded in the street, and I highlighted this a moment ago, resulting in further untidiness. On the other hand, no one can deny that some examples, now I've already said some examples, so I'm going to use a synonym, some instances of graffiti may be classified as art. I'm going to say no one can deny that some instances of graffiti fall into the category of art and are a wonderful way. This next expression is definitely C2, a wonderful vehicle for young people to express themselves. Indeed, Banksy is a celebrated graffiti artist whose paintings command millions of dollars. Surely this is evidence of the value of graffiti. And then I thought we could take this out and we could just have a dash. It is much more than mere vandalism. Finally, I have highlighted this question because I feel that I could improve this even further still, but I need some time to think about that. So that's probably something I will do for the PDF version of this essay. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a like because that will really help my channel to grow. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.